Back in the studio. The Kentucky and a Travel Ball podcast is back.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, man. So we're so excited to be back. We've got something really exciting we're going to announce. We're going to launch. I can't wait. Guys, this is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And I'll be honest with you, I just didn't know how to execute it. Finally got the right inspiration. And it's time to kind of really do something that's going to be really cool, unique. I just can't wait to get this started. First of all, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. All right, so over here, we've got Brian Meglin. We've got Rick Hines. We got Todd Yates. This is our coaching staff. That we were a Legends 14U team last year. And I'm getting ready to tell you what we're going to be this year. I'm getting ready to kind of go through the whole spill. But once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a subscriber. I know it's been a while since Rick and I have been on air, but we're going to try to do this a little bit more regular now. We've got a new platform. As you can probably tell, we are rebranded. And this is what we're going to do. We are very excited that we are launching the 502 Scout Team. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the Pottstown Scout Team. And if you haven't, I'm sure your son has, right? So Pottstown Scout Team is basically taking over social media. They've taken over what media is, how media is consumed in baseball. If you watch Barstool Sports, if you watch Good Golf, this is what Pottstown's doing. It's very reality-based. It's very fun-based. This is how the younger generation takes in their media. They don't watch cable. They don't watch SportsCenter. What they're doing is they're watching these YouTube clips, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram. So Pottstown, it's kind of funny. I'm gonna take you guys through the history and chime in here when you guys want. So Pottstown was interesting. It was a fake university started by a couple YouTube creators. And what they would do is they would go to baseball games and they'd say, hey, we're scouts from Pottstown University. Can we get in the press box? Or can we do this? Can we do that? And they made funny videos. And their content got a ton of views and a ton of shares. And what they decided to do is, hey, man, we should start our own Pottstown baseball team. So they started the Pottstown Scout Team. And it was created by, two really, really, really well-known YouTube creators. And it just blew up. And what they did is they mic'd players. They put cameras on guys. They did some fun stuff. They did giveaways. They did challenges. They did challenges with the kids, challenges with the parents. They just made it fun, and it absolutely took off and blew up. When I saw what Pottstown was doing, a light bulb went off in my head. Like the light from God here. So it gave me the roadmap of what I was always missing. So my name is T. Ridge. I am the owner of Tau Grace Marketing and Media. We are a media agency for, about 50 businesses around the U.S. We work with the PGA of America. We work with a lot of the bourbon brands. We work with a lot of the big kind of names in the Louisville, Kentucky area. And what we do is we're a content creation shop. So we're creating content, videos, social media posts, graphic design, websites, custom developments. Baseball's always been my passion. I've coached with two of these guys since our kids were 7 years old, so we're going on 7 or 8 years now, right? And I've always wanted to do something down this vein, but I couldn't quite wrap my head around how this works. Well, once I saw what Pottstown did, it was evident to me I have to do this. This is I am built for this. I'm so excited. We're getting ready to talk about the benefits of why it's important to have a social media presence, why it's important to have exposure. All these different things have changed in college. They've changed in high school. The numbers from the college scholarships are changing. We're going to dive into that here in a minute. But so, again, welcome to the 502 Scout Team podcast. Thank you for joining us. And we're getting ready to kind of tell you what we're going to do for this year. And our hope is, so we're going to create a rising 15U team. Our hope is you hear this and you may have some interest in potentially joining what we're doing and joining kind of the calls. And we're going to tell you why we think you should join our team. and why we are probably the best spot for your son if you have baseball aspirations. Guys, how we doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Great.
All right.
T,
So
is this UK and Louisville, or since baseball, is this Cubby Blue and Cardinal country?
well, we're going to go baseball. So this is not UK and Louisville.
So I'm on the Cubs side. Perfect.
Yeah, this is more Cubs and Reds, maybe, right?
There you go.
Listen, so having cool swag, have what the kids call drip. We need to have cool drip, right? So that's going to be something we're going to get the kids involved with, and they're going to have a say in what these uniforms look like. We've been not hampered, but we've been in organizations our whole coaching travel ball career, and you wear what they give you, right? It's going to be kind of neat to give the kids some say and actually let them kind of see what their vision is, what they're excited to wear. You look good, you play good.
It might be a little scary.
It might be a little scary, but I'm excited to see where that's going. All right, so here's where I want to start. I guess you guys have seen the new college rules, right? So it used to be, and Rick and I did a podcast with Dan McDonald about this.
11.7.
It used to be 11.7, right? And I sat in I'm a member of the American Baseball Coaches Association, and I sat in a conference where Dan McDonald just railed on the NCAA, saying this isn't fair, 11 scholarships isn't enough. He was advocating for 15 at the time. 15 will get us where we need to be. Well, now...
And another paid assistant.
And they've got that now as well. So now you can have 34 scholarship players. 34. So they went from 11.7 to 34. Pretty big leap. The downside, though, is you used to be able to have 40 guys on your roster. Now you can only have 34. Now all of them can be on scholarship. And now universities aren't going to put 34 guys on scholarship. Brian and I were talking about this earlier. Bellarmine's not going to put 34 guys on scholarship, right? Tennessee will.
Sure.
A lot of your SEC schools will. U of L might. I bet you Kentucky does.
Oh, yeah.
They'll figure it out, right? So I think that it's going to be interesting because now exposure is more and more important. And Brian, you got a story about your daughter and how she went from volleyball recruiting. Why don't you tell us that real quick?
Yeah. So, and being a little bit older, no shocker there, but back in the day when you used to get recruited, it was the local newspaper and the news shows, and then the coaches would call around, and that's kind of how you got the exposure. And being a little ignorant with that, I just thought that would be the same process now when my daughter was going through it. So she went over to Illinois to a junior college, had a great time, went to a great school, finished and wanted to continue to play in a four-year university and just wasn't really getting any offers, sent to her. So we got pretty frustrated, got pretty late in the game, and she had almost at the point where she decided, okay, it's time to probably hang them up because I'm just not getting any offers that I want to. And I happened upon a site, had to pay money for it, of course, and had to load up videos on it and get her that exposure that way. And she ended up getting an offer and is going to a wonderful school. Really, really proud of her for that. But it just kind of sent those whistles off that, how important that exposure is now. The coaches have people coming to them, and the kids really have to sell themselves as opposed to the way it used to be where they would come knocking on your door. So exposure, unless you're that one athlete, if you're throwing 95 miles an hour, they're going to find you.
Well, right.
How often does that happen, though? Not very often. So exposure is just so crucial now, I think.
In the right way, too. So there's ways to get exposure and pay for exposure where it almost kind of makes you a laughing stock, too. And there's companies now that will say, you pay us $400 or whatever it is, you're guaranteed your tweet no matter how good you are or aren't. And they do rankings and all that kind of stuff. And listen, there's some good and some bad with that. But
and we've all gotten the emails after you play in a certain tournament. Y'all, recruiting this, recruiting that. We all get them. And
so the idea with the 502 Scout team is each kid will get their own social media profile. And what we're going to do is we're going to help manage that for them. Now, they're going to have to take a little bit of ownership because they've got to learn how to use social media the right way. If it's one of those things where what you put on your social media now, even though you might be 15 years old, may affect you down the road when you're trying to get a job. All of us have kind of been in that situation where you're trying to vet somebody's social media to see what kind of person or kind of employee this is going to be, right?
Positively and negatively.
Oh, absolutely. Right. So we've got to make sure that the negative piece isn't there. So they're going to be trained on how to use this the proper way with professional help, professional video, professional analytics, professional stats. And then here's the other cool part. So when you put mics on kids, when you put videos out there and you have the video on their helmets and you got the videos on the sides and you're capturing all this, you're capturing the fun, right? You're capturing memories that you're never going to forget in ways that Game Changer can't quite capture. Yeah, everybody throws their cell phone up on the back of the dugout and just tries to capture what they can with their cell phone. But we're going to capture this in a way where, man, you're going to have memories forever. And I think that's going to be pretty cool, too. It's going to be a way for all of us, whether you're a parent, kid, whatever, to really remember, man, that was a really cool moment with my teammates or my team or whatever it may be. So having fun, I think, is a big, big part of what we're going to try to do. Back to this college scholarship side of things. So now you can have 34 scholarship players. NIL is a big piece of what is happening in college now. Even at the very smaller levels, if you have a social media presence, you can get paid to show up and go do a signing or just go to a gym or just be present somewhere or go to a bar one night. I'm not saying our guys are going to bars, but later on in life, there's ways to monetize a really good social media presence. And what we're going to do is we're going to set these guys up to where they have a future in that world. Now, not all our guys are going to become influencers because, let's be honest, not all of our guys have that personality. We got a few that do. We have several that could be really, really big personalities online. Not all of our guys are going to have that, but they're going to be set up for success for the future. So that's another big piece of what we're doing here. And here's the thing. You're hearing me talk about all this stuff, and you're like, well, what about the baseball? Baseball's got to come first. And here's the big difference between 502 Scout Team and Pottstown. Pottstown Scout Team is built for one tournament, and it's basically built for YouTube content, right? So they're built, they do a big tryout, they do gear openings, and they do one tournament, and they're getting the best of the best. They're going around and winning all the big tournaments because everybody wants to go play for them. But then they're done. They're not really set up to develop you or to practice or to really get you better at your craft. Our goal, along with making sure the social media presence is done really well, we want to develop you as well. So we are going to be a team that plays throughout the summer, hopefully plays the next few years together. Baseball development is going to be number one. Brian here is a former college coach. Rick and Todd have been doing this with me for a very long time. I think we've learned kind of the right ways and the wrong ways to go about coaching. We've certainly done a lot of the wrong, right? But
we have
over the years, we've kind of figured out some of the right too. We've gotten a lot of things right, to be honest with you. But adding Brian this past year has been huge. I mean, having his professional playing experience, his college coaching experience is something that we're going to promote because, listen, developing these kids is a big piece. We practice with a good friend of ours, Jason Betts at KBC. He's a big part of our kids developing. You know, it's making sure we all want to coach, right? We want that kids you want to coach. The kids that don't want to be coached, that's not any fun. We want kids that want to be coached, want to be pushed, want to get better because we all like to coach. And I think that is as big of a part as this is the development piece as is the social media piece. So it's all going to go hand in hand. Anybody want to chime in on that one? Y'all making me do all the talking here.
You're doing such a good job. Keep rolling.
Yeah, nothing else to say.
So the NIL, I think, is certainly something that we hope that we can set these guys up for the future. So if you can figure out, and there's numbers on this, and it's pretty easy in the media world. If you have a certain amount of followers, you can garner a certain amount of sponsorship dollars per post. And really, the numbers are pretty small. Once you get into that 50,000 range, now I know 50,000 seems like a ton right now, right? But if you can get to where you have 50,000 followers on a certain platform, you can monetize posts. You can have people sponsor you. You can get free stuff, free gears, free swag. So that's kind of our goal. Our goal is to get to a point where our guys are hitting that threshold to where people want to give them free stuff because they want them to potentially market or use their influence in a social media world. But once again, there's a lot of negative that comes with that too. Haters are going to hate. And I pitched this to the guys the other night, and that was my big thing, is haters are going to hate on this too. So yes, you're going to have some 15-year-olds that are going to get some hate online. So we're going to have classes on how to deal with that. We're going to have, they're going to know that that's coming. And they're going to know that, okay, this is how I deal with negative things in my life when this happens. I tell you what, guys, it's a life skill. I don't know how much you guys deal with this in the businesses you guys are in, but being able to deal with hate and be able to deal with negative thoughts and people coming at you with jealousy is a pretty big life skill in this day and age. As everybody sits here and nods at me. Okay.
Well, no, I think in learning these skills at 14, 15, 16 years old, I think is just huge and just sets them on a really strong path going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. So what is it? I'm gonna pose a question to the three of you guys. What is it that you think a family, a kid, a parent should be looking for in a travel baseball program? Rock, paper, scissors. Who goes first?
Well, I mean, it's difficult. I know if I had to be looking for a team currently, what I would look for would be, and again, it's hard, but the right fit. I want my kid to be coached, and I want him to have fun. Because at the end of the day, it's still a game. Everybody wants to do well, but again, like you got to have fun. The winning will come, and we won a lot this season, and we've got good players, we've got good talent. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's really just got to be fun, and the kids got to want to be there.
And I think from a parent's perspective, you would like to look at consistency in coaching. You'd like to know who your coaches are every week. You get some of these national teams out there, and you may not really realize who your coach is going to be from week to week. So that's a major
Good point.
benefit to that.
How about playing time? Is that important?
Yes, I mean that's the ultimate goal is they want to play. But I think, and I'm the newer one here. You know, we've played the past 2 seasons together, and I think one of the things that I recognized pretty early that I really appreciated was playing time's important, and playing a lot of games. Winning is important. However, it never trumps the injury status or overplaying a kid. And I've seen you, Teague. I've seen you have kids not pitch when we know that kid would give us a better shot at winning. But you know what? They've had too much on their arm. Let's pull them back. And we've all seen the stats on Tommy John and all those kind of things. But that never ever becomes more important winning that game than the safety and the health of those kids. So I think that's a really understated thing that I'm not sure if you realize that or not. But
And I'm glad you bring that up because I think that we probably err on the side of safety as opposed to the side of winning, just because I think it's the right thing to do. And a lot of times, gosh, we had a Josh the other day. He was like, I want to keep pitching. Keep me in the game. I'm fine. We're like, Josh, you've thrown too many pitches.
Yes.
Like, we've got to take care of these kids' arms, right? I mean, it's one of those things where I think we err on that side, but you have to.
you have to. They'll never come. If you let them decide, they will never come out.
Right.
Right.
So, absolutely.
Right. You've got to err on that side. And listen, I've heard the arm care. I've heard, oh, gosh, we do year-long this and that. I tell you what, man, I've seen it over and over and over at the high school level. Kids' arms flame out, especially if they've done too much at the younger age. And I think this travel ball stuff has changed that world because when we grew up, you didn't play that much baseball, right? You didn't, we were playing rec league stuff and you weren't playing Legion ball or All-Stars. You weren't playing as much as we're playing now and throwing potentially year round. So you've got to give, especially baseball, you've got to give those muscles a break. We're a big multi-sport team. We encourage our guys to go play something else. We want them to. I think it's good for your development from physical. You're developing different muscles. I think that's a huge, huge piece of what we want to see in an athlete. Now, I asked about playing time. That's an interesting one. So I'm not going to get any names or details because I don't want this to be about that. I'm involved with a high school program, a high-end high school program that had a kid that has, since 8th grade, been signed to one of the top D1 programs. Stud athlete, really good player. He was just behind a bunch of guys that never played. So he was behind some dudes and never really got to see the field in high school. Well, those D1 offers kind of went away because he never really saw the field. So, Todd, you brought up a national team, right? Well,
Right.
Okay, how much are you going to play? So, yeah, you might get the I get it. They may be selling you, we're going to go do this, we're going to do that, and go do this. Are you going to be playing the right spot? Are you going to get that opportunity to showcase the talents that you have, or are you the 15th guy on the team? So I think that's a big piece of this too, because I have probably erred on the side of playing too many guys in the past. If you've ever played against me and I haven't roster batted, you probably caught one or the two games that we haven't hit our entire roster. That's just what we do. Now, I'm not saying we're going to do that moving forward. I don't think you can do that at 15, 16, 17. I don't think that's possible. I think you're getting into the PO realm, and you get into where you're playing Wednesday through Sunday, and you have to spread guys out. But you're going to play.
Right.
And being on our team is going to give you an opportunity to play some spots that you may not play at a so-called national team. Now, we're not calling this a national team. So I want to be very, very, very frank with this. I think a national team, in my opinion, are the teams that fly in the guys, right? They're paying to fly a guy in, just pitch one day and they fly back out. You can't compete at that level when you're us, right? You know, we're dealing with guys from 1 or 2 zip codes. Like, it's not, we're all very centrally based here. I don't think we can compete with, now, some of the national teams, sure, but some of your big boy programs, I don't even know if that's good for kids, to be honest with you. I don't know if you're getting developed at that level. Yes, college coaches may be seeing you on a more regular basis because of your so-called status, but I'm getting ready to change the game on that. And we're getting ready to have more exposure for our kids than any team has ever seen since Pottstown. And if you want exposure and playing varsity high school baseball or playing college baseball, you better give us a hard look, because we're getting ready to flip the script on how this is done. Just saying.
I like it.
Rick, what would you say we've learned along the way here?
Oh, gosh.
The three of us have done this for a long time, right? And Brian, it's kind of interesting because I think I want to hear your perspective, because Dawson's one of the better players in our age group, but you guys didn't do travel ball until late.
Right.
You guys kind of went the rec route and did Linden Rec and didn't do travel ball late. And honestly, we've seen some effects on Dawson because of that. Mm-hmm. But I want to get to that in a second. But Rick, what do you think we've learned all over the years here?
Well, what I've learned and what I believe we've all come to learn, and in the back of our minds, we may have known this before, but some of these kids develop at a little different pace than others. We've seen it, especially with our team. I would say most of the teams we go up against are bigger in size than us, kind of across the board. Our kids are just maybe, just haven't got there yet. There's maybe just a couple that have hit puberty, honestly. So they're due to kind of break out. And, once they get into high school, get on a program, hit some weights, I think it's going to change the game for a lot of these kids, especially on our team, where some of these teams, I mean, they're monsters already, mm-hmm. and they're kind of done. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're kind of tapped out. So I've seen it, especially with my kid. He's always been amongst the smaller ones, but honestly, he doesn't stick out like he used to. He's kind of caught up a little bit, and he's got more room to go. So that's a big one for me. Obviously, coaching these kids, I mean, you see everything. I mean, you learn based on your opponents. You see what they do, and you take some of that, and you can kind of tailor that, and then see what also they're doing wrong, and be like, well, I don't want to do that. But I mean, we'd be here all day if we've been doing this since what, 9-10 U.
We started really at 7. Not necessarily the travel, but doing kind of the select
all-star select
thing. So I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, and we've had a lot of kids come and go. Yep. Sometimes the grass is greener on the other side, and I completely understand that. And there's been better situations for kids than there were with us that have moved on.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't cut a kid. Like, if we've had a kid on our team, we welcome them back the next year. I mean,
Yeah, which again, I've gotten flack from that from some about my baseball traditionalist junkies.
We're loyal to a fault.
But here's the thing, and Rick, I think you and Todd, I want to hear your opinion on this in a second. But Rick, I think you hit the nail on the head with some late bloomers. Man, we got a team full of them, and but guess what? We can see that the kid has the right actions.
Oh yeah,
they get the barrel to the ball. Their footwork's right. Their baseball IQ is high level. So we've got kids that just aren't quite physically as developed as most of the teams we play, but they have the tangibles that as a coach you can see. And as a coach, we've been able to teach. So I think at some point, a lot of the guys that we've kind of kept along the way are going to hit that point where they've caught up and they've matured, where they're to the same point that these other guys we're playing against, and they're maybe better off for it, quite honestly.
I've seen it just in the past year, just from last year to this year with some of the players where their body's kind of caught up to them, and then you see the development going on. And, you talk about Eli maybe not standing out. You hit him a ground ball, he stands out. You see him turn a double play, he stands out. So you can see that development from one year to the next with some of these kids and how they've really started to grow. And, I wish it was something I had seen a little bit early on with Dawson, and it would have gotten him into the travel ball scene much earlier.
Now, did you avoid the travel ball scene for a reason?
Yes. So my focus on baseball has always been, let's have fun. Let's make sure that you're enjoying this game, that you're learning it, and that you're having a good time. And, I'm not going to single any teams out or anything like that, but I went to a couple of the travel ball tryouts early on, and not to cast aspersions on them or anything, but it was a little more intense than I wanted, a 9-year-old to be seeing.
Right.
The win mentality and cutting and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, this is baseball, and Todd, you've said it before. You can only play this game for so long.
Yeah. Right.
We may talk about some of those stats later on about how long you actually get to play this, but man, you only have a small splinter of time in your life when you get to play this fun game. So let's not make it so serious. And I think that's helped Dawson in a lot of ways. Also hindered him a little bit in a lot of ways, because some of that mentally he's catching up with some of the, when he was playing, it was like, you need to go out for every cutoff because I need you throwing it home. And now it has, well, okay, that one's not your cutoff because that's down the right field line. That's not you. So learning some of those things is a little bit of an adjustment for him. But, had I came across a team similar to this one where the focus was fun, learning, taking care of the kids and caring about what they're doing, I think it would have been a game changer for me.
Now, listen, we want to win.
Sure.
Winning's fun.
Absolutely.
Winning's part of it. And I think that's one of the things that my big takeaways of what I've learned over the years is even when they were younger, I probably took that too serious. I was probably too hard on some of the guys for mistakes, for errors, when, you got to let them play. You got to let them learn from what they're doing. Now, I don't know that I ever would have pulled a guy out of the game, but I may have made it known that, hey, that wasn't okay. In my head, it is, I'm holding you to a higher standard because I know you can do better.
Right.
And I didn't think you gave the amount of effort I wanted to see on that play. But that's not what a kid heard all the time, right? They just heard coach, maybe yelled at me, or coach got on me for this and that. It's not that, he knows I can do better, I need to do better. And I think I've learned how to communicate that better. Yeah. Not always. But most of the time, I feel like I've gotten better at that piece of it. I've certainly learned that along the way. And I think it's one of those things, man, it's experience.
Yeah.
When we first got into this, I think we felt like we were going to be as good as anybody. And, it took some years under our belts before we kind of figured out the formula, how to make this thing work. We had a great season this past season, our 14U season. We won a couple tournaments. We were in it pretty much every game. Defensively, we've got a great team. We're looking for some arms. We're looking for some offensive help. Who's not? But we're also looking for the right fit. A kid that's got a good personality, a family that gets it, a family that wants to be involved and understands that, hey, our kid's going to get developed, and this is going to be a really good experience for us as a family because it's going to be fun, and they're going to be able to play baseball, and they're getting developed. I think it'd be kind of the perfect package. But to me, that's what you want to find in a travel program. Todd, I haven't come to you on this one yet. So the question, to try to kind of reverse here, what do you think we've learned along the way here?
I think we've learned quite a bit. We've gone out, we've learned from some of the best baseball coaches that are out there.
That's a really good point, because we've been able to bring in guys like Rodriguez, Rick Arnold, you name it, man. We've had
so
Ryan
many.
Wheat, Price, all these different guys have been involved in our program in one way or another. Zev, man, it's been really cool bringing those guys in, the Marshalls.
Right.
Keep
And
going on
what
and
we can
on.
do is we go and we take and incorporate a lot of what we learn
Yeah.
into our practices, into our games, just what we've learned over the past couple of years, even working with KBC and everything else.
Yeah, that's a great point. Jason Betts has been a big piece of that. I mean, just learning from, guys that have, like Brian, who've played the game professionally. I played golf professionally. I was not a professional baseball player. I did play a sport professionally, and I know what it takes from a mental aspect to be able to compete at the highest levels. Golf is an individual sport, obviously, but baseball is in a lot of ways, right? You're by yourself at the plate. So there's some ways mentally that we can help kids make sure that they find and compete at the highest levels. Brian, you brought up some interesting stats earlier when we were talking before we went on air. What were the numbers of kids that play high school and then beyond?
So as you're looking at it, we talk about this brief moment in time that they get to play the game. Not everybody gets to play high school baseball, especially nowadays with all the competition out there. But there's roughly over 500,000 kids that play high school baseball, depending on what stat or what website you're looking at. And we know the web never lies. So, but roughly 500,000 kids play high school baseball. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to look past that and you start looking into, how many of those kids get the opportunity to play college baseball, it drops down to about 8% of those that get to play college baseball. So 8% of those kids playing high school baseball get to move on and play college baseball. Now, if you want to go a step further, and everybody wants to play D1, but if you look at the ones that get the opportunity to play Division I baseball, now you're dropping down between 2 to 3% of those that actually get to play Division I baseball. Now, with some of the stats you talked about earlier, with the the number, the roster numbers being limited now, they're losing some of those spots. Obviously, those numbers are going to shrink even more. So.
Yep.
That's
There's going to be a trickle-down effect for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things that drew me to this was just that exposure because, it's tough. And when I talk about winning, I just want to make sure I clarify that. I don't mean winning as if out there clowning around and being silly. And winning is important, and having fun, like I said, is such an important thing. But I think one of the differentiators that I've seen, with our team is that, yes, we want a trophy. Yes, we want a ring. But I've seen with you guys that you want them to have that ring. You're not out there saying, I want that ring as a coach. I want these kids to have that ring. And when the tournaments we have won, it's go ahead, go celebrate kids, have a great time, and kind of back off a little bit and let them have fun. And I think that's so understated and so important that we keep in mind that we've focused on these kids having fun. And because they're having fun, we tend to have fun too.
So a couple points from what you were just talking about. First, the percentages obviously are crazy.
Staggering.
But that means exposure is that much more important, right? And even moving forward now that 40 to 34, there's going to be a big trickle-down effect on that. You've got to be able to get seen. And it's not everybody can pay for it. There's a certain segment of people that can't afford to pay for the $400 showcases every weekend. So you're getting a tweet out there. You're getting seen by college coaches. This is just another angle. And I think that we're going to be a trendsetter in this. I think you're going to see more and more people go this route because it is where the media world is going in every sport. You look at it from, like I mentioned earlier, like Good Golf has become one of the most watched golf mediums on the planet, and it's amateurs playing golf. And they're just out there having fun, and it's basically, but that's what people are watching.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Yep, I've seen it.
Well, it's unbelievable.
It's been on my TV.
That's just it. So it's crazy how the world has changed. When I grew up, I got it from SportsCenter. I got up early.
Right.
I will turn on SportsCenter. That's where I got my news. That's where I got my sports. It doesn't happen anymore. These kids are getting it from YouTube Shorts. They're getting it from TikTok.
That's correct.
These kids, these 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds are the future of what are going to college, or the future business leaders. The world is changing on how people indulge media. You either get on board or you're going to get left behind. This is why I think we're going to kind of set. It's why I thought what Pottstown did was brilliant, and I really appreciate them being they're going to be a mentor. I've talked to them about kind of what we're doing here. They've given me advice. They love the idea that I have.
And this is really, honestly, like the perfect age to get started in this too.
I agree.
I think if you do it too young, I mean, what are these kids going to do with that? But
Yeah.
And then if you wait too long, then you're behind. So I think this is honestly kind of the perfect
13
perfect
through 18,
age.
I think, is the perfect age group.
Yeah.
In that realm, right? It is kind of that world because you can actually get some personalities, and it's actually stuff that I think people would indulge with that media.
Yeah.
So if we've perked your interest at all, and I hope we have a tryout set up on August 10th at Eastern High School from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. There is a sign-up link. Wherever you got this piece of media from, there should be a link there. It's a form that we'd like for you to sign up to tell us that you're coming in. It's free. We will have a lot of cameras there. There will be some kids mic'd up. We might do some giveaways. We're going to make it fun. We're going to do some challenges that you probably have never seen at a tryout before. But it's going to be a situation where I guarantee your kid walks away saying, that was fun. That was not stressful. That was cool. So if you want to be a part of that, again, it's August 10th, Eastern High School, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Guys, anything else before we sign off here?
And we got no choice. We're going to be good. I mean, we got baseball players first. I mean,
Baseball first.
you can't have good content without being good. Like
You can't have good content and be terrible.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you can be humble about it, but you have to be good for this to make any sense.
Yeah. So we got no choice but to be good.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
I think as we think about this, and I work for a marketing company too, so I understand how important social media and all these things is. And but on the flip side, not to sound like the old curmudgeon here, but I was like, oh gosh, social media and TikTok and all this stuff, the kids are going to go rampant. This is going to be wild and crazy and all that thing. And I think having an expert with social media that can help guide these kids, coach these kids, and use it for what, I mean, let's face it, social media is not going away. Whether I like it or hate it, doesn't matter. It's still going to go on. It's not going anywhere. So to have somebody who can put these, the kids through classes that can teach them the right way to use it and how to use it to their advantage and not to their detriment, I think is just such a huge life skill to learn, as well as getting ready to play. I think the greatest game on earth is baseball. I think you agree, next to golf.
I agree 100%.
Okay.
I'm a baseball nerd. I probably am. I'm a bigger fan of baseball than I am golf. I was just better at golf.
And just to piggyback on what Brian was saying, it's all about the right way.
Yeah.
The right way to use social media. And that's the whole key, because there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And with us here, we're definitely going to teach those kids how to do it the right way.
You have to. I mean, listen, this thing blows up in our face if we don't, one kid's using this the wrong way, then all of a sudden, this whole thing's for naught. So we have to be kind of anal about it and make sure they're doing it the right way. So these kids they're gonna have a lot of probably a lot more eyeballs on their social media than they ever thought they would have, but in a good way. Absolutely in a good way. All right, Talon, hit me that outro music. Once again, August 10th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Come join the brand new 502 Scout Team. Rising 15U. Now listen, we're starting as a 15U team. If you have interest at other levels, we'll talk. Call me, email me. We'll talk because we've got some ideas. Thank you for listening.